Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to actually honor a request or a bunch of requests that I've gotten over quite a long period of time, and it's to do a little tour of my little studio space here, which is basically just the basement of my house. I didn't really ever think anybody would be interested in something like that, but I've had a lot of people ask me to do that. So I thought, let's do two things. Let's take a look around the physical space, which is really not much, but I'll show you some of the gear I use, some of the stuff that I have down here. And then I thought maybe I'll go over to my computer sitting right over here and answer some questions also that I've oftentimes received over the past while concerning some of the software that I use to make my videos, to write music, to do a number of various things. So I thought it might be kind of an interesting video, and here we go. Let's take a look around. All right, so here I am entering my studio space. I apologize, I'm shooting on a video on my cell phone here, just through the internal mic, so I hope this comes across okay. But anyways, this is entering my studio. I got my own little bathroom over here. If I need it, and here is the room coming in, and we'll do a quick pan over, closet over there, some guitars down here, computer, desk, workstation. You can see the Helix on the floor, printer action over there. So let's go through a step at a time here. So I got my closet over here, which is a disaster, where I keep all of my guitar cases and whatnot. Here's a little shelf space here with some borrowed Rev pedals that I recently had a chance to do a video on. An amazing set of Atom SP5 headphones there, garbage can, lamp, of course the coffee maker, which you always need in a studio. Recently put these up, a little decoration, just some shelves so I could throw up some vinyl, change those out every now and then. In the corner here we got a video light. That's one of the video lights I use when I'm shooting. So over here we'll take a look at the studio desk. So I always, if you see my PC, I run PCs, they're down there. The Helix is always at my feet, some cables somewhat neatly wrapped on the floor. I always build my own PCs when the time comes to upgrade. This is a system based around some Intel i9 with I think 32 gigs of RAM, so it's a plenty powerful system. I got a couple ultra widescreen LG monitors, an Akai drum pad, so if I need to tap some drum patterns in, if I'm writing music or doing a backing track. I have a Mackie Big Knob here. This is a pretty cool just monitor controller. So I have my monitors plugged into that, and the reason I have it is because I have both my Helix, which you see down here on the floor. Everybody's familiar with that, with the Furman power conditioner back there. And I don't know if you can see that white power strip back there. These are Wi-Fi power bars, so I can just use my little Google Home Mini over there to voice control, turning on my system and the power cabs that are behind me here that we'll look at in a second. Really wonderful Peterson strobe clip-on tuner. But back to the Mackie Big Knob. So what I have is I have the Helix going into that, as well as you can see here my UAD Apollo Twin. So I have two interfaces that I can choose between. Sometimes I'm like to use the Helix when I'm recording with the Helix, and then later when I'm mixing I'll switch over to the Apollo Twin for various different situations or reasons. As you can see here, we'll get into the software in a little bit, but I've got Cubase 10 Pro open. Love that software. It is really handy. Got my nice handy little roller mouse, some stray picks kicking around. My studio monitors are a pair of Focal Shape, the Shape 50s, I believe. They're the 5-inch drivers. These are amazing sounding speakers. They've got these really cool passive radiators on the side of them, but these are fabulous. They're inverted dome tweeters. Really nice stuff. They sound amazing. Little webcam in case I'm doing any live streams on YouTube or anything like that. This is kind of cool too. I've got my Samsung Tab tablet just kind of in a microphone stand adapter here. And I'm using TouchDaw app for Android, which is actually controlling Cubase. So you can see I can do all sorts of things here. So as you can see, I got the my Rosanna video I just did last week up. That's the solo to it. So yeah, I can control start, stop, record. I can control volumes, basically everything I need to do to control Cubase on there. So it's a really cool controller. Of course, I can always just do that from the keyboard as well. Here's that tone. That's from the new classic 80s preset pack or preset that I just put out on Line 6 Marketplace. So if you like that, you can go take a look at that. Another video light, just a ring light. So when I'm sitting here doing my dialing in videos, this is the camera that I'm staring at. And that's the ring light that lights things up for me. I'll show you these cameras in a second because I have a second one over there. I have some hooks on the wall here just for headphones and various cables and whatnot. A bunch of hard drives snuck down there. A lot of video work takes up a huge number of hard drives. I got a LED panel light over there. So some pretty interesting things there, I guess, I hope. Yeah, you know, that's basically my setup. Now, coming this way is where I start to shoot all of my videos. My backdrop has now been changed to a black backdrop, and I think I like it better for sort of the performance style videos that I do a lot of times. And so on this wall here, I start over here, I've got a couple Line 6 L2T speakers, L2TS I believe they are. I also got this really great Yamaha mixer that I use for some live gigs and whatnot, which is the MG16XU. I believe it's a 16 channel board, fabulous stuff. Love that mixer. Down here I got the Power Cab 112, got the Power Cab 212, and I have my Mission Gemini 2 over there. And oh, these straps, I love these guys. I'll give these guys a little plug. It's a company, I've been using their straps for a long time. Moody Leather. They make really, really nice stuff. I love these, all handmade, hand-stitched Italian leather straps. So I've got a few of those. I really love those a lot. Down here is my HX Stomp pedal board. See, I have iRig Blue Turn, which is a Bluetooth page turner. So if I need some charts from my tablet when I'm playing live, got a bunch of Mission Expression pedals, awesome stuff. So this is a board I've talked about. I still have to do a video on this, finishing this board up. It's not quite all done, but I have a Bogner Lagrange pedal, my Stomp, the Line 6 Relay G10S, the Mission TT2, and the Morningstar MC62 on there. So fabulous stuff. And this is really cool. I'm set up to just voice control all these, so I can tell Google, okay, Google, Power Cab 112 on.
Sure, turning Power Cab 112 on.
And you'll see in a moment that Power Cab 112 comes on. I can do that with all of these, as well as everything over here on the desk as well. All right. That brings me to the camera here. So this is a second camera I have. You can kind of see, there's my stool where I sit to shoot my my videos. This is a Sony, I believe it is an FDR AX53. I love these cameras. They are so good. The best feature about these is their autofocus. They're just deadly accurate with that. I don't have to worry about anything. I set it to autofocus and they just always work, and the quality is really fabulous. So I use those. As you'll see, I have a third monitor over here which is hooked into that computer, and what usually comes up on this, let me see if I turn it on, if it does. Don't think I have it open, but I get Guitar Pro over here, so when I'm doing a video and I need to just read the tabs, which I do for a lot of the videos I do, to be honest with you, just helps me to play them a lot faster. Instead of having to commit everything to memory, I'll just sight read most of the solos or most of the songs that I'm doing. So I can have my chart up there in a sort of a teleprompter. As I'm sitting down right here on the stool, I can be looking at that. That's what I'm staring at. There's the camera, but I can be looking down here. So a lot of people ask me that. You always seem to be looking to the side, and I am. I'm looking at my teleprompter here. That brings me to the guitars. So all of my amazing Yamaha guitars here. I've got the Yamaha Silent guitar, nylon string. My Yamaha Pacifica 612. My absolute favorite guitar that I own right now, which is the Yamaha SA2200. Gorgeous top on that. Beautiful, I love it. Plays really nice, beautiful block inlays. I believe that's a Japanese-made guitar. I've got my Yamaha Pacifica 611. Love that guitar too, fabulous. And there's the steel string version of the silent guitar. And then over here, I have my recently acquired Variax JTV 89F. I've got my JTV 59. I've got my Yamaha Revstar 620. And my one non-Yamaha guitar that I own is my Fender Elite Tele that I really, really love. Really fabulous guitar. So that's it. That's the guitars. That's the backdrop wall that I shoot the videos at. That's what I am looking at throughout my whole studio. And a quick pan around again. And there's the graveyard of cases over there in the closet. And a printer on the floor. And there's my somewhat comfy chair. So, hope you guys enjoyed that. Let's go take a look at some software. All right, so here we are back over at the computer, and I want to show you some of the software that I use through my everyday activities, which range from editing videos, shooting videos, writing music, recording music, creating tones for our Helix, creating backing tracks, anything, transcribing, anything I'm asked to do by other folks and that I do for myself and for my YouTube channel. So one of the main pieces of software that I use would have to be Steinberg's Cubase Pro 10, which is really wonderful. It's another Yamaha owned and based company. So Cubase to me is the DAW I'm used to, but it's just so feature packed and it works so well. So I have kind of a dummy project open here for what I would open if I was going to be maybe dialing in a Helix tone or doing a performance video. You know, for the most part, I'll usually try to find a backing track online that's done that doesn't have any guitars on it. If I can do that, I'll use that and then add my guitars over it if the quality's there. Sometimes that's not really possible, so sometimes I'll just make my own. But if so, if I do find a good one, I'll just sort of import it here onto the backing track. I'll also always have a track open for the actual song that I'm trying to make it at least sound somewhat like, so that when I'm mixing or trying to match the tones up, I can go back and forth and A/B between the two different things to see if I'm hopefully in the ballpark, keeping the levels matched, and you know, so all sorts of things like that. Cubase has some really great features like their control room function here, where I can set it up on its own cue. So this would be C1 down here, Q1, so I could flip back and forth between my mix and the original and have them, again, volume matched by using the slider up here. So really good stuff. But if I am creating my own backing track, well, what I will use is some other pieces of software within Cubase. For instance, here we have Superior Drummer, TuneTrack Superior Drummer 3. Wonderful, wonderful drum workstation. I've got a whole bunch of packs for it. New York Avatar, New York Volume 3, Orchestral Progression 1 and 2. Whoops, I just inadvertently loaded the Progressive Foundry library up. It takes a second to load up, but there it goes. And you'll see how it's loading up the samples here. And I also have the Rock Foundry. So some really, really nice sounding drums here. You won't hear some of them because this is actually loading up. But you can also go in and it has a mixer that you can really tweak the drum sounds with ambient mics and room mics and really cool stuff. You can use it to replace real live recorded drums. It's got a wonderful groove library where you can have, you know, have it use all of the parts or just the kick over here, just the snare, just the hats, right? You can sort of double click this and zoom right in to the grid editor and move notes around if you so desire. You can edit the play style, like for instance, if you didn't want it to be on the hi-hats but wanted on the ride instead, you can do that and change the articulation and really interesting stuff, you know, so you can have that on the toms, on the hats. Yeah, just really cool stuff. A lot of great tools in there to really help you to produce things well. You know, I play bass guitar, but I don't own a bass guitar, and a lot of times when I'm writing music, I find it easier just to use a virtual instrument. So this other piece of software I use is called Motobass by IK Multimedia. When I'm writing music for an album, I usually end up having a session player replace it. So for drum tracks, I always have my good friend Marco Miniman record the drum tracks or replace what I've written. He always, brings it up such a huge notch. On my last album, all the bass parts were done by a good friend of mine named Jason Henry, absolutely spectacular bass player. So when I'm writing, I don't mind just using these, to get the ideas down very quickly, and then I can have the real pros come in and replace it and really raise the level of the music. But if I'm just doing a backing track, these are perfectly fine to get the point across of showing, a guitar tone, right? Or just having some fun with it. So what else within Cubase? Well, those are some of the virtual instruments I have. I also do have some other virtual instruments in here. Some of the ones, IK Multimedia Easy Keys is another one. And just the ones that are also included with Cubase. I believe I also have IK Multimedia Moto Drum, which I haven't actually used much yet. So let me drag this over so we can pull some plugins up. Some of my favorite plugins I love. I have a whole bunch from IK Multimedia, pretty much their whole collection. I do have Amplitude 4. I used to use it before I was with Helix. I don't use it anymore. I do like the program. It's very well done, but I just have no need for it with Helix. But they have some really nice compressor plugins if I'm working on a mix that all kind of like just, are similar to other hardware, classic hardware. Like this is like an 1176, right? So some really nice things there, some Neve style EQs, which is always cool to have. And they're really well done, I find. iZotope, this is a company I just love. For mastering, I just got iZotope 9 and some really cool features that they have in iZotope 9. And this is for mastering. You can add different blocks here to, low end focus, master rebalance, match EQ, a lot of really great tools and just fabulous sounding plugins with a really easy workflow, which is something else that I really like and I'm happy to be using them for. One of my favorite plugins by them to put on a mix if I'm working on that would be, where is it? They're actually under distortion. Their vintage tape plugin really can warm up a mix, giving it that sort of vintage tape goo to it, if that's such a word. One really cool plugin by them, I believe is here, is their tonal balance control. And this is really cool because you can pick different styles of music and you can see these bars outline where the low end, low mids, high mids, and highs should be in relation to that style of music. You can also bring in, there's the rock one, and as you play music, I don't have anything loaded up, but you'll see these little bars in here telling you if you're kind of right in the middle, and it just helps you to know, if you're in a room that's not perfectly acoustically sound or acoustically treated, it lets you know that you're not overdoing the bass or you're not underdoing the bass, which is really helpful. Especially, that's fine if you're in a perfectly acoustically treated room. But if you're not, maybe your mix is going to be too bass heavy or not translate as well as it could have. So that's a really great feature. You can also import a song. So a lot of times when I'm doing a mix of a song that I'm doing a playthrough of, I'll load it up, I'll load in a custom file. For instance, it says create target from audio file, right? And let me just see here. Let's say I pick a Rush song. I'm looking off screen here that you guys can't see, but let's say I go to moving pictures and pick Tom Sawyer. You'll notice it'll create that, and look what we have. That is where you're gonna want your lows. That's where you're gonna want your low mids, high mids, and highs. And it really helps when I'm balancing. I never touch the guitars in the mix, but the backing track, I'll send that to a bus and I'll EQ it so that the shape kind of works in this. And then when I'm playing around with Helix to get the tone style, then I make sure that they all kind of fit in there. And it's a good way to help get really close to the overall mix. So that's a really cool plugin. I love that plugin. I love everything by iZotope. If you guys are into audio and looking for plugins, check out iZotope. Very, very nice stuff. Their Neutron 3 plugin is amazing as well. What else do I have here? Obviously, Line 6 Helix Native. I got some other stray ones here. The Millennia compressor, which is a model made by Brainworks, I believe, of a really, really amazing Millennia TCL2 tube and solid state compressor. I like this for mixes and sometimes for guitars. It's really nice. But that Millennia is also another company. When I had my bigger studio, I owned some stuff by Millennia, their mic preamps and whatnot. Fabulous company, really great guys too. Got to know Joel over there, really fabulous fella, real sweet guy. PSP Audio is another great company, and when I'm doing mixes where I'm not just using the Helix, I'll use their like models of their Lexicon delays, their Echo, sort of vintagey Echo is really cool. Their compressors are really nice as well. The FET compressor, oh, that's the old timer, sorry. That's also a very nice compressor, but the FET compressor is probably one of my favorite 1176 style compressors. So I use this a lot on my albums. When I do a mix, I'll sort of use this compressor on guitars a lot after the fact to kind of get them sounding right. And drums too, this sounds really good if you want a little bit of grain and grit to your drums. So really cool stuff there. So that's PSP Audioware. Softube is another company that makes some really interesting stuff. They have they do their Tone Lux Tilt EQ, which is just like the Tilt EQ that we now have in Helix, right? What else do they have? They also have some tape distortion plugins that actually, I believe, look more like actual tape machines. So you can kind of, similar to the Isotope vintage tape plugin. Universal Audio. So these are plugins that run off of my UAD Apollo Twin that I was telling you about. And they have everything from, I don't own all of these, they just kind of show them all, but they have everything from amp sims to simulations of other classic hardware, right? So you can get like an 1176 as well from them, right? And that's going to be running not on my computer hardware, but on the CPU from the Apollo Twin. So you can do cool things like record with no latency when you're recording right into it. I don't know if I own any of the guitar amps. I think they may have given me one or two for free, actually. It'll tell me if I try to open it, if I actually own it or not. I don't know which one maybe the Fuchs Overdrive Supreme. Yeah, there it is. I guess I own that. It didn't warn me. So they got some cool models. Maybe I should do a video where I'm comparing some of these to the Helix. That might be kind of cool. I don't usually do those, but all right, yeah, cool. So what else do we have here? They got a whole bunch of stuff. Waves. I have a couple Waves plugins. Not my favorite company. I don't like their kind of way of constantly making you upgrade your own purchased plugins, but they have some nice stuff too. So those are some of the plugins that I use within Cubase to do what I do with there. Okay, let's take you out of Cubase and let's go over to the video editing software I use. I'll be right back. All right, so here you see Vegas Pro 17, which is by a company called Magix, and that's the video editing suite that of my choice. You only see a portion of it on the screen here, but you can kind of see here's a project I've been working on. There's the audio, and there is the video tracks that I use, and actually you'll see it over here if I pull this onto this screen here. There's a little something I'm working on for a preset pack. Anyways, that's what I use, and that kind of normally lives over here off of my screen capture software, which I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, so this is pretty straight ahead. Vegas Pro is really nice. For me, I'm not a video guy, really, believe it or not. I just need it to do whatever I need it to get you guys the videos that I do. So it does what I need. Lots of features, way more than what I actually need. But that's kind of a typical project for me. I really don't know what else to say about that, but that's the software that I use. Now, the one thing is, a lot of people have asked me, you know, how I go about doing this. So I'm capturing the video on this camera I showed you here before with this light behind me. I'll take my SD card of that, plug it into my computer, transfer the files over, load them into Vegas, right? And then how do you get to see the screen and then me in the corner? Well, what I'll do is I'll use Vegas to, where is it here? I believe it is here on track motion. So this little window pops up and you'll notice how I've kind of taken this little square and shrunk it down. Normally it would be much bigger, size, and I've shrunk it down so that this is like a little icon in the bottom corner. So all I do is I take this what you're looking at me in right now, and I just shrink it down and I move it down to wherever I need it positioned so it's not blocking anything on the screen, and that's how you do that. So for screen capture, I use a program called Screenpresso. Now there's a bunch of programs like this out there, and I also realize there's so many other solutions. This is just what I've found works for my workflow. I believe Vegas Pro 17 even has a screen capture software, and I haven't even had a chance to use it because once I have a workflow going that works for me that I can work very quickly with, I just don't mess with it. It takes me more time to figure out a new system than it's worth to me, because this way I can really pump things out very quickly. So I take the Screenpresso video and it'll be kind of just, you know, the outside line it'll show me. You guys can't see it because I'm actually using the plugin right now, so I can't really show it to you. But it'll show me what it's capturing on the screen. I can change the size of that depending on what I need. And then I just load that also into Vegas Pro, and then I overlay my smaller video on top of it, or whatever I need. I could edit and move things around quite easily. So that's basically it for video editing. Oh, the other thing I do actually, if you'll see, I have a lapel mic on. So I'm recording my audio right into the camera, so when I bring the video file in, it's got that audio synced up. Now when I'm playing guitar in a video, I'm capturing that guitar track in Cubase at the same time. And I'll just do like, you know, 4 hits on the guitar so I have something to line it up with audio syncing wise, right? And then when I export that from Cubase and bring it into Vegas, I can then take this microphone, which will have those 4 clicks I put on. I will also do that with the screen. I'll click 4 times with my mouse so I can line all the things up, and then I can sync the audio, the high quality audio from Cubase up, and then I carefully go in and edit out all the bleed onto this mic so that what you're hearing is just the Helix direct, so there's no overlay. Sometimes people do videos where they have the mic bleeding in at the same time as the high quality audio. It just kind of takes away from it. You're totally ruining the audio. You can't tell anything about that then. So that's basically it for video editing. Let's take a look at the next piece of software. Okay, so when I am using my UAD Apollo Twin, I use their console software. And what this does is, if let's say I'm recording a microphone, a singer, or a guitar cabinet, or when like for instance, when I did the video for the PowerCab 212, I put a microphone in front of it to capture some of the speaker models. I can use this here to load up different mic preamps right into the Apollo Twin. And it's really cool. I could have something like the UAD 610, or I could do the Neve 1073, and then record that, right? Print it to tape as I'm recording the microphone. And I've got all sorts of things here, pan and solo and mute. And it's quite a full-featured mixer, virtual mixer that there is quite powerful. So I'll use that sometimes when I'm using the Apollo Twin. Now, another piece of software I use a lot is a program called Transcribe. So, you know, I could be, let me just load up a song here, whatever it is. Steely Dan came up. There it is, Steely Dan it is. So this allows me to quickly select a section, slow it down. Adjust the pitch if I need to. Really quickly pinpoint any particular section if I'm trying to transcribe something and have it looped. Quickly change the speed. If need be, right? And that'll help me to be able to transcribe maybe difficult passages if I'm learning a solo or transcribing something for somebody else. So Transcribe, I've done a video about this using this before, I believe. I can't remember which one, but it's a really great piece of software. And I guess finally, another piece of software I use all the time is Guitar Pro 7. I really like Guitar Pro 7. For transcribing and for just finding tabs online. You know, a lot of times if I'm doing a song or a solo, if I can find a tab online that's even somewhat accurate, I will always go with that. I can transcribe very well, but I mean, transcribing is somewhat time consuming. It's more time consuming than even finding maybe a tab that's only 60% of the way there and then making the corrections to it. So There are times where I'll just transcribe right from scratch, but other times when I can find a good tab online, you know, okay, I pulled up Beat It here. I did a video on Beat It and a dialing in on Beat It not too long ago. So, you know, this is a program I use a lot. You can have it play it back for you. Always sounds kind of cheesy and MIDI-like, obviously, right? But very easy to edit, very easy to follow. And like I said, I'll drag this over to that third monitor over there as a teleprompter, and I'll just read a lot of times when I'm playing a solo or whatnot. I used to do a lot of tab reading while I was teaching guitar for many, many years, and I got pretty good at being able to just look and kind of know what's going on. And I just find, like I said, it's a quicker workflow by working that way than having to commit something to memory before I shoot a video. It allows me to put a lot more material. But on the same time, if I need to learn the solo, I can do so relatively quick as well. And I find usually by the time I shoot the video, I've got the solo in my head reasonably well anyway. So that's another piece of software that I use a lot. And obviously HX Edit, I'm not going to pull that up. You guys see me use that a million times. So just running off the top of my head, I'm thinking that's the stuff that I use kind of on a day-to-day basis that to do all the different things that I do here with providing, you know, YouTube videos and instructional material, like I said, transcription work, session work, even preparing for a gig maybe with a sideman as a sideman project, you know, creating charts that I'm going to throw onto my tablet and, you know, do the gig reading charts, whatever it might be. These are all the tools that I use, and with the setup, I can be very streamlined and efficient in how I get things done now. Having the two cameras set up and just being able to drag, you know, Guitar Pro over onto that monitor and being able to sight read something really quick, so I can throw those videos together very quickly and have a lot of fun in the process. So I hope some of you guys found that enjoyable. It's not a video I ever thought about doing, but I had so many requests to take a look at what I do here and the things that I use that I figured I would try to do something a little bit different. No guitar playing, a lot of me talking. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please like the video, share it if you don't mind. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I got a lot more stuff coming up, a lot more really interesting content. Some more dialing in videos, some more, you know, playthroughs, some more instructional stuff. Some more Line 6 Marketplace presets coming up, and some more free custom tone presets coming up. So lots of fun, and I'll be back soon with some more content. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.